Women, what's the least attractive quality in a man that they usually think is attractive? Being so tough and dominant that they don't know they're being such an asset. For context, there's this guy I know who basically asserts dominance by acting tough and violent, and degrading others by making unnecessary remarks just so he'd be seen as cool and such. By doing so, he thought everyone feared him, and his presence, when in fact everyone's tired of it. A lady friend of mine dated someone like this. At a wedding I said I was avoiding cake to watch my sugar as I'm diabetic. The guy goes on a rant that it's not sugar and why. All things I know as a diabetic, but our shorthand is sugar. Tongue. I think he thought being vegan made him better than everyone else too. I'm surprised he later married since he was always correcting everyone in my circle of friends. I find the social aspect strange. Like I think the general consensus is to be kind, but whenever I join a new group of people, they always talk shit about other people or new people, and overall they're just straight up savages, and I will never understand that. Apparently that's normal behavior for a group of people, as that's one thing that brings them together, and then if you aren't like this, you become a weak person in the sense that since you aren't doing that, they're going to do that to you. People don't make sense to me. I know one of these guys at work and it's been fun messing with him. First I told him I was picking up some Japanese lessons. He lived in Japan, he totally knows Japanese. Second, I divulged that I know basic Mandarin, Chinese, and wow, he knows Cantonese fluently. Cool one up bro, but wrong language. Now I'm planning on telling him I'm learning Hebrew just to see if he lived in Israel or something. I love messing with one-up man, and if you haven't done it, try it. I realized that I did this unconsciously, always trying to relate to everyone by bringing up my experience. I did this for many years, and after a while recently, I noticed that I was always saying my I in my conversations, which probably isn't that fun for a person who didn't ask. Now that I realize this, I stay silent for a long time because I have nothing to add, which makes people think I'm arrogant. I don't know how to fix this. I did the opposite once. I just got out of a bad relationship and my friend put me on a date with his coworker. I was polite but didn't talk much about myself, partially due to being in a mental rut. A few dates later she told me guys usually try to sell themselves and she found me mysterious because I didn't. I laughed, and now we have been married 15 years. She now knows I'm not mysterious, just lame and boring. I had a boyfriend like this. Every time we went out, even out to a dinner, he would be drunk and passed out by 7 p.m. Everyone seemed to shrug it off because that's just him. But all of my nights out seemed to get cut short like I had a child. To top it off, when we broke up and I hung out with one of his friend said, "Oh, you're actually really fun. I thought you were boring considering you always went home early." Well, yeah, I'm fun, but I have to babysit my much older than me boyfriend. His new girlfriend loves getting drunk as much as he does, so I'm glad he has found his perfect match, but I also think he may need help. My pot dealer was at my house one time. Goofy kid, healthy, tall, thin, fit, sporty type dude, not very smart. My sister was there and his idea to try and get her attention was to count all of his money in front of her, a couple grand in cash. She said later that as soon as he started counting his money he stopped being attractive because she could tell what he was doing. Lol. My ex was like that when he was drunk. First little while when he was drunk he would just get cuddly and keep bugging me for sex, usually things I didn't want to do. After like a year and we had moved in together he started to get pushy sexually with me and become angry and physically violent with other people. He would pick fights with everyone and have scraps on his knuckles constantly. He would sexually assault me, and his drinking became constant. It's like this was his true self and he had just been hiding it for so long. Once he thought he had secured a woman he stopped trying. He's someone else's problem now, the girl he cheated on me with. Being overly aggressive with other people, like, you are out at a club with him and he is ready to pick fights with anyone who, he thinks, looks at him or me wrong. I think it makes them feel macho, but it's a huge turn off for me. It's happened a few times, and the last time I just turned around and took a car home. Edit. Well, thank you for the awards. Those are the first bar one I've ever had, so I guess I have something to thank those douchebags for after all. Also, sorry for the bad phrasing about the car. I did not steal one, but I've been laughing my head off at all the comments making fun of me for it. Oh God, those people. Male, was a bouncer for 6 years and I can't count the number of times fights started over that. I'd break it up before any punches were thrown, or if there were, get them outside and ask what happened, and it would be he was looking at my girl or he was mad dogging me, and I was early at the time so I was beyond that testosterone-fueled bullshit, so the conversation would just be like, I used to sort of date a girl that had been with the guy who was the stereotypical short, angry redhead that would get into a fight every outing. Every time. She was always amazed that we'd go out, have a nice evening, and not have even a verbal altercation. I pointed out to her that I wasn't really out for a fight, I was just glad to have something to do. I knew where and who I was and who she was going home with that night. Being that high-strung is for other people. Semi-related story. However, one time I went to a show with her and her sister, and some other female friend, and in the elevator to the venue her sister gave me a slow up and down look, turned to my date and said, yeah, I don't think we'll be getting into a fight tonight. Okay, maybe there's a size component too, but I'm not that big. Bragging about how tough and violent they are. It's not cute. It's somewhere between cringe and terrifying. Also, being confidently wrong about what women are like, or giving compliments like you aren't like other girls. My gay, if you hate women so much, why are you trying to get me to join you? Most women past high school mentality don't hate other women, and hearing about how much you hate women doesn't make me feel safe, let alone attracted. Yes, and the excuse of well, a lot of girls hate when guys do anything remotely girly. I mean, okay, I'm sure that's true, but a lot of us also either do not give a shit, or actively prefer a guy who has some less stereotypically manly interests. So it's really up to him what type of woman he's going to go after. I do not know anybody who'd prefer her male partner refuse to cook or watch a romantic comedy. I am not saying none of these people exist, but it's not the majority by a long shot. My friend's BF, now husband, once threw a fit because Duncan gave him a pink straw for his coffee and he refused to use it. We were on a road trip and he wanted to turn around to go demand an orange straw because pink's for chicks. He wouldn't use it and got so angry about it that he was punching the dashboard. Everyone else in the car was horrified, but my friend didn't think anything was weird about it. That would have immediately made me break off the relationship, but they're married and she loves how masculine he is. There's a very specific type of gym bro who may be conventionally attractive and buff, but they have no personality whatsoever. Everything revolves around their gym schedule and eating brown rice, chicken, and broccoli every single day. Edit. Lol, some of all getting so bent out of shape. I answered the prompt. It's just my opinion, and it's not that serious. You don't have to agree. I worked with a guy who fit this description exactly. Couldn't hold a conversation about anything other than the gym and diet. He had no idea about world events, technology, cars, sports, history, nothing, and the only books he read were about the gym. He had a gorgeous girlfriend and I just figured there must be a side to him that we never saw. Finally met her at a work Christmas party and she was the blandest, most blank slate of a person I'd ever met. Even more so than the guy was. She also could only hold a conversation about the gym. Gold star if you can guess where they met. This is one of my weaknesses. I can beat nearly anyone at trivia games. See my Reddit moniker. When I was young I was an insufferable know-it-all. Fortunately for me my wife was a very patient and loving person. She'd often tell me people don't care what you know until you show them how much you genuinely care about them. I'm a much better person because of her. I lost her to a heart attack in 2013 and miss her terribly. Making fitness, extreme sports, calorie counting your entire personality. I mean, I get it, it's hard work. It takes discipline. Great job. I'm proud of you. Yes, your ABS are hot. Yes, you work very hard. I get it. But can we talk about other stuff now? Like, please, show me you're not some video game NPC programmed to repeat the same lines over and over again. When a guy walks into the shop I'm a mechanic at and I say hello, how can we help you? And he looks around and sees the male employee and starts talking to him about his bike needs. I can't stand when guys pass over me like that, and then later try to chit-chat while they are waiting for something. Dude, you now have douchebag stamped on your face. We are done. Don't try to be cute with me now. I'll have to say, I'm impressed with all the replies. It looks like women want men who are self-possessed. A man who knows himself as a man. He takes care of his looks but doesn't feel the need to show off or be the biggest guy in the room. He takes care of his finances but doesn't feel the need to show his money. He's comfortable with his emotions, because all humans have emotions. He likes himself well enough and opens up for support when he doesn't. And no dick pics. At least not until much later. Who he is and who he cares about comes before his dick. Guys that willingly terrify their dates in order to try to impress them. I had a guy take me on a motorcycle ride on a date once and he knew I'd never ridden before. He got on the highway and was going 70 plus. I have never been more scared in my life and I started sobbing when we got to his place. It's one thing to take someone a little out of their comfort zone if you know they'll enjoy their time. Like making them go on a roller coaster, try a food they don't know, but something else entirely if you're straight up endangering someone's life. Right? Virtually every point in this thread has 30 comments underneath it going well, actually, women do that too. Yeah, no shit Sherlock. Humans aren't a monolith and assholes belong to all genders. This thread is about what heterosexual women specifically have experienced when dating heterosexual men that has caused them to no longer find that man attractive. Pro tip boys, if you find yourself instinctively offended by the description of asshole behavior in this thread to the point where you're trying to defensively post justifications about said behavior, you probably need to ask yourself if you're an asshole. Being aloof. I've went on dates with too many guys that didn't seem very interested in anything at all. They didn't really seem to have hobbies or interests. It seemed like and I'm too cool and above that stuff. There's nothing more attractive than someone you like getting excited in my opinion. It doesn't matter if it's hobby I particularly shared. I'm not into anime personally and one of my best friends is and I love listening to them talk about the season they're excited for. Trying to mesh lives as in they want my life and all my spare time. Some guys see this as a weird sort of plus in the era of hookup culture but I just think of the lyrics from Peach Scone. So I fall to ground, collect myself and get ready to take over your heart or at least your spare time. And I love the thought of being with you or maybe it's the thought of not being so alone. A lot of guys like to try and read girls, like they try to confidently tell you something about yourself or actions to show off how much they understand the elusive and mysterious woman. It's beyond obnoxious, almost always completely off base and makes me think you have a warped view of women on the whole / don't really think I'm a person. Being rude to waitstaff, or any service industry person when we're on a date. If you are rude to the waiter, waitress or the person making your coffee, I have already made up my mind that it will be our first and last date. I don't care how much you try to impress me, you've instantly gone down to 0 chance. I'm sorry, I didn't know you weren't supposed to drown the laundry in bleach and dish soap, whoopsies. Women are so much better at this cleaning thing. Oh, you're not supposed to boil pasta for over an hour. Silly me. Cooking's just so complicated and women are naturally good cooks. This is always a subject people are sensitive about and I'll get a lot of downvotes but I'll answer anyway. I know weed and weed smokers are cool and attractive to the mainstream but I don't consume it and it's a turn off to me when a person is a pothead. Also overly buff guys since I'm tiny, I'd disappear. LOL. I smoke with a lot of friends but never go out of my way to tell people I smoke weed. I'm open and honest about it, but making it part of your personality is so weird. It often goes hand in hand with people defending weed to the point that they're claiming it is absolutely harmless and only has beneficial effects, when I've seen plenty of friends struggle with negative effects. I still think it's better not to do it, but it's always fun to do with friends from time to time. God yes, I'm a huge beer lover. I also live in a major craft brew scene of a city, but I can't stand the IPA guys. I don't mean anyone that loves IPAs. I mean the ones that act like if it's not your favorite style that you're somehow not a real beer drinker. I'll enjoy a well-balanced type. I'll also gladly enjoy a fruity sour beer. I just like beer. Get out of here with that stupid macho shit. Catcalling. Hitting on a woman at her place of business because you know she can't escape or be rude. Looking us up and down and licking your lips. Calling us familiar pet names like you know us. Especially shit like sweetie. Are you addressing a 6-year-old? Or hey sexy as a first message? Lame. Next. Does that shit ever work? How do you not realize you're disgusting us? They spent too much time on family and not themselves. I can't go on a date because my mother is having a bad day. The bad day was she dropped her coffee. I can't see you in public because my father might notice and ask too many questions. This man was almost 30 and he didn't want his father know he was dating. I can't see you tonight because my teen sister is jealous. She's 17. You're almost 30. Stop. Enmeshed, probably the right word. When a guy doesn't get excited about anything, nothing phases him or everything is beneath him. It comes off like he's not being himself, hiding something and just plain ole miserable. Edit. Some of the comments to this post are really unfortunate or blown out of context. I will give the best example I know how to explain what I meant by the above. In A Bronx Tale, there's the scene where C, a little boy at the time, is talking with Sonny the neighborhood mobster, and shares his disappointment with NY Yankee, Mickey Mantle, because they lost the World Series. C loved the NY Yankees and going to games with his father, Robert De Niro. Sonny says to him, "Kid, nobody cares. Does Mickey Mantle pay your bills? Mickey Mantle doesn't care about you, so why should you care about him?" Robert De Niro later tells Sonny to stay away from C because that was wrong of him to ruin a boy's excitement like that, and that's unhealthy for a child to be told things like that. Plus he's a bad influence as the neighborhood gangster. I'm on De Niro's side, of course, because of what Sonny said to C. C never felt the same about the NY Yankees again. Grew up trying to imitate Sonny and a tough exterior, while clashing with his father. It sounds like a lot of you have that struggle like I described, or if you really are depressed, I wish you well on your journey, but depression comes in many different forms, so it's not always clear when someone is suffering. But no one asked you to perform, pretend, or do things you don't want to do. At the same time, it's annoying when people expect me to be extremely excited about something, even to the point of them saying that since I'm not freaking out, I must absolutely hate it. That's not the kind of person I am. I get very excited about things all the time, but the reaction is more in my head, and the only sign of excitement on the outside is a slight smile or oh. I've tried to give fake reactions to avoid this situation, but it's too obvious, and some friends end up thinking I hate something that I actually like. Obviously omitting or obscuring information that they think is unflattering, but you would actually find out about them pretty fast. For example, living with their parents, unemployed, big sexual issues. This may not be first date conversation material, but there is a difference between not bringing it up right away and avoiding and hiding it long after it's become relevant. It's always a really shitty feeling, too, when you catch them in the light or they finally come clean. It's like the pressure is on you to make them feel okay with the situation, and you have ignored that they were systematically deceiving you the whole time. It's when someone tries to impose standards on you in order to be accepted into the community. This happens a lot in fandoms. An example is a newcomer saying I'm into Fall Out Boy and a gatekeeper replying, "Oh really? Name 10 of their songs and not just the popular ones."